Well, good morning, folks. This is Granny with Granny and Grumpy's Homestead, and this is the first day in about I think it's been 4 days, that we haven't had rain. And I'll let you see what the sky looks like. So we're starting to get some breakthrough with having some sun, and it has stopped raining finally. Got lots of puddles, and Grumpy is making a interesting type thing that he is going to show us this morning, and so we need to go down to the shop in order to do that. So I'm gonna get in the car and drive down there, because since it's been raining, my little tractor that I usually take down across the yard and stuff, it's covered with water. So I don't want to. I want to sit in a puddle. So let me get in the car and we'll be on our way.
Well, howdy, folks. We're back at the shop again doing another project for the same contractor that I did the last one for. And these folks are friends of the other folks that were from India. And these guys are from India as well, and real nice couple. But what they wanted was a wall niche. There's a niche there now that sticks out or goes in 3.5 inches, standard wall thickness. And what they wanted to do was make it a 6-inch depth, and then have a shelf in the middle that rolls out like this. And they wanted to have 10 inches to the outside of that shelf. And so I found the radius of the curve on top, and I'm getting ready to, I already cut that curve. This is the piece that I'd cut. And I was going to explain to you guys how you can determine the radius of an archway. And Granny doesn't like math too well, but all this is just high school algebra. And I can explain to you how to determine what this radius right here is without any kind of instrument. All you have to do is you can take the total length of it. This piece is 40 inches. Okay. And I determined that the rise on it is 4 inches. So if you put it on a straight edge like so and measure, you have 4 inches. Okay, so if you want to know the radius of that, I'll show you a way to determine that. You want to take the phone out of there so I can explain to them how to do this. Okay, all right, folks. I'm going to draw a picture of an arch. Let's just say that you have an arched window or something, and you want to make a piece of casing for that arched window, but you don't know what the radius is. Here's how you can tell. Let's just draw a random arch. And this is the radius, let's say, coming down like so. Now, of course, this distance is the same as this distance, which is the same as this distance. Okay? So all of these are R. We'll call that R for radius. Now, you can, when you're looking at this arch, and you want to take some measurements on the wall. This distance from here to here is your arc length of the, the arch. So, if you remember in high school, there was a Pythagorean theorem that stated that this side squared, we'll call this A, we'll call this B. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We have a right triangle here. And the hypotenuse is going to be the square root of A squared plus B squared. So basically, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now, I'm going to change this here. Let's call this, what we want to know, we can determine this distance by your arch is there. You can take your level or a straight edge of some kind and hold it from here to here and measure with your tape what that distance is right there. And we can know this distance, B, by just measuring from point to point and then divide by 2. So in order to find that radius, we have to use this distance squared plus this distance squared is going to equal r squared. All right, so let's figure that out. Now, if A is here and R is all the way front to back, all the way top to bottom, then this distance from here to here is going to be R minus A. You see what I'm saying? Because this whole distance is R from here to here minus A. So we have R minus A. Let's put this down. Okay, R minus A, the quantity squared plus B squared equals R squared. You with me so far? All right, so if we square out the polynomial, we're going to come up with R squared minus 2AR plus A squared plus B squared equals R squared. All right, now we can subtract an R squared from both sides, and that'll leave us with negative 2AR plus A squared plus B squared equals 0, because we subtracted the R. So we can move this, just add a 2AR to both sides, and that'll give us, I'm going to change it to, to this side, 2AR equals A squared plus B squared. So R, if we solve for R, then R equals, divide everything by 2A, R equals A squared plus B squared over 2A. Can you follow my reasoning on this? So
Granny doesn't, but I'm sure mathematics do.
You used to do this stuff. Anyway, it's just logic. So the easy way to figure this is just remember that formula. The radius equals A squared plus B squared over 2A. So in this case, we have a 40-inch, the B is, this is 40 inches. All right. So half of that's 20. So we're going to substitute A equal 4, B equals 20. So 4 squared equals 16 plus 20 squared equals 400 over 2A over 8. R equals that. Okay. Now, let me get out my little calculator here. See what we got. Okay, 416 divided by 8 equals 52. So the radius of this curvature right here is 52 inches. And to demonstrate that, I'm just gonna kind of hold 52 inches right there, and let's just kind of test it. See how that works? It goes right there with it, all the way around. So, I started using this formula years ago to do archways and stuff. And one of my contractors, it was kind of cool. I wrote all this out on the wall. He wanted a 10-foot arched cased opening, 10 foot wide, and he said he wanted the rise on it to be 12 inches. So I scribbled all this stuff on the wall, and I don't know what the radius came to, probably somewhere around 122.5 or something, let's just say. And so he's like, man, there ain't no way that's right. That can't be right. You're just making that stuff up. I said, okay, well, let's test it. So I went onto the floor and drove a little nail in the floor and pulled a tape, and I went 122.5, and I took my pencil and I just went around and around like that until I made the 122-inch radius arch. And then I took a tape measure and I measured 10 feet, okay, from point to point. So that gave us an arc segment of 10 feet. Now, next I took a straight edge, took a straight board, and I laid across there. And I told the contractor, I said, $20 says this is exactly 12 inches from where I marked on the floor at the center. And he goes, okay. So I held my tape down there. It was exactly 12 inches to the 16th. I mean, the guy was like, whoa, that's amazing. So I've used this technique in a lot of different ways, making exotic window casings and things like that. And it's very reliable. You can trust this, math doesn't lie. And man does, but but that's one thing I like about mathematics. It can be proven. So anyway, what I'm going to do here, now this is the arch that I'm going to make for this the casing I'm going to use for the archway. And in the middle of this opening, it's going to be a 32-inch niche. And he wanted, it's going to be basically 6 inches deep on the ends. And then he wanted it to taper out to 10 inches in the middle. Wanted to float it out to 10 inches in the middle. So I figured that radius to make that happen. And that turned out to be a 34-inch radius. And so what I'm doing here, this piece is just over 32 inches wide. And I'm going to make a top and a bottom section that's going to roll out like this. And just wanted to show you how you can easily make a really accurate cut with just simple tools, with just a router. Now, I just attached a piece of wood to this router base, and it's called a Tremel arm. And back here is the marks that I used to make this radius, the 52-inch radius. And this is my 34-inch radius up here. So it's nice to use a plunge router for this. I got this one not too long ago. Yeah, I don't want to lose all that stuff. Set this off somewhere. Okay, so I've got my distance here marked and over here that represents the 6 inches. And so I know my radius is correct, so I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting. And what you can do is just put a straight router bit in your router, in your chuck. And sometimes I use the 1/2 inch router bits, which work really nice. But in this case, I'm using a little 1/4 inch. And what you want to do is just take a little bit at a time. You don't want to try to, eat up too much, try to cut too much wood at a time. It can break your bit. So let's go ahead and get started. So, as you can see, this method makes a very accurate curve. And so it's really a true radius. If you tried to cut this with a jigsaw or just a skill saw or something like that, you would not get the degree of precision that you can get with using this router. And so just thought I'd show you guys how to do this kind of work. It looks cool, but it's really not as hard as it seems if you follow the mathematical formulas. Now this piece here, here's the actual casing. Where did I do? Oh, here. This is the actual casing that I'm using for the archway. And so this will stand up. It's too long. It's got to be cut off. But, this will basically, miter in somewhere like this. And I'm using this molding here, but I have to bend it. And to make the back band on this casing, what I did was I curved it out in the back with my miter saw. And that way it could flex enough to bend around there. I still have to do some more sanding. This isn't quite dry, but I puttied all the kerf marks and the top edge of the plywood, and I'm basically using this putty right here, which is a pretty good product. Basically, I'm just floating it out like this, and filling up all the kerf marks, and then once it's completely dry, I'll sand it up real nice. And and then to make this, I couldn't bend it well enough on that 52-inch radius to work out. So I had to buy a couple more pieces to make this work. So what I'm going to do is fit this in like so, and then this piece will fit in front of that, and you see how that's given the same look as this. And so that's going to work out nicely. Now, we have another piece, this molding right here, which is pretty thin, and I'm able to bend that without a lot of problems. So this should finish right out, and when I get it all finished, I'll let you take a look at it. But it's an interesting project. I like doing stuff like this, and so I wind up doing a lot of arches. I do some curved stairways and things like that, and so just thought I'd show you guys how you can do this without expensive machines. I mean, just this router can cut basically as accurate as a CNC, which is thousands of dollars. And if you got a small shop and a router and a piece of wood, you can make your own Dremel arm and do some archways and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this thing up, and once I get it done, then I'll show you the finished product. But anyway, woodworking is it's a nice hobby, and it's actually, I make a living at it too. So I really enjoy woodworking, and I get to do. To me, it's just fun. So you can't beat a job where you enjoy what you're doing. So anyway, I hope this was somewhat educational, and we'll talk to you next when I get this thing all finished up. Then we'll take a look. So God bless. See you guys later.
Well, good morning, folks. And as you can tell, it's very bright outside. I'm fixing to go to the shop where Grumpy's at and let y'all see what it is that he is finishing up. It's the same thing you saw yesterday, except you're going to see it in finished product. So let's get started.
Well, good morning, folks. Back here at the shop this morning, and got the wall niche finished up. Thought I'd let you see what we got here. They wanted this, curved shelf here that they can place a statue or something on, and they kind of like this intricate molding, so I added that feature and had this kind of a base cap going around the edge, got a back band on the casing, and used a reverse reveal on this one. Instead of having, typically the casing will leave a reveal this way, and I thought I'd recess it inside, so it gave it kind of an interesting look. So anyway, that's what we got. I'm either gonna paint it or maybe just prime it and then bring it in and let the contractor work on it. But anyway, I think they'll be happy with it. This is kind of what they wanted. I had originally planned to build it much wider than it is, but I had to go back to meet with the contractor, and he said he only wanted it 32 inches wide. So I'm going to have to reframe the walls, and it's going to be a little more work, but it's all good. We'll get her done. So anyway, I got to paint it, at least prime it up, and I might put 3 or 4 coats of lacquer on it. I don't know. We'll have to see what Ray says, and get this.
And we also apologize. You could see so much dust flying around. It's getting better now, but as we started the video, it was like a dust storm.
Yeah, I was doing sanding this morning. You know, I got a lot of sanding done, and so I was blowing the dust off, and it kind of kicked up a bit. Yeah.
But we opened the door to the shop, and I reckon it's finally settling.
Yeah, I've discovered that this water-based putty, it kind of leaves water spots on the wood. You can see how it's kind of darker here, and there's dark spots. We're leaving putty halos like here and different places. Putty halo there and there. This is all stained over here.
Well, the primer will cover it.
But yeah, I mean, one thing I've learned using this stuff, we don't want to use it for stained projects.
Yeah.
This is going to be painted, of course. It won't matter. But it's always a process to learn different techniques and, you know, different types of things. I usually, over the years, I've used a solvent-based putty that doesn't give you those so bad of putty halos, and, you know, cause water spots in the wood. But they've become so expensive. A little can of putty this big and about that big around is $10 at Lowe's and Home Depot. So it's just out of control. So I've been using more water-based stuff now. But like I said, I can't really use that on stain projects. But anyway, I thought I'd let you see what been working on the last couple of days, and you know, it's kind of a unique design, but I think they're going to like it. So anyway, y'all have a good day. God bless, and we'll see you next time.